So Colin Powell died of COVID complications, severely immunocompromised, multiple myeloma, Parkinson's, and vaccinated, 84 years old. That's what we know. Fox News and others doing their sort of soft anti-vax type stuff. But Tucker Carlson really going fully in on it. As Media Matters reports, Tucker Carlson claims Colin Powell's death proves, quote, "You've been lied to about vaccine effectiveness. You've been lied to." Now, of course, a vaccinated death in an 84-year-old immunocompromised individual doesn't disprove anything about vaccines, doesn't indicate anybody has lied. People lie all the time about all sorts of things. Colin Powell dying is not proof. Colin Powell dying is not proof that anybody in particular is lying. So let's take a look at this video clip. Here is Tucker Carlson. Let's just get right into it, because we have to start there to understand what the point is that's being made here.
A lot has changed in the years since, and that's one of the reasons that Colin Powell's death tonight is so poignant. Like almost everyone his age, Colin Powell was fully vaccinated against COVID. And yet, according to his family and doctors, Colin Powell died of COVID. Of course, that fact does not make his death any less sad, nor is it unusual. Many thousands of vaccinated Americans have died of COVID. Former CDC Director Robert.
So first of all, understand, when we talk about the data, thousands of Americans dying of COVID out of 700,000+ deaths, and overwhelmingly the deaths are the unvaccinated. If you don't understand that data, Tucker's comment is extraordinarily confusing. And a lot of the people, Tucker does that confused face during his show. Many of his audience members have that same face. They're just as confused.
Redfield announced just today that about 40% of all recent COVID deaths in the state of Maryland, for example, are among those who've had both shots.
Now, that's another deceptive thing. Imagine a 100% vaccinated country. In a 100% vaccinated country, 100% of deaths would be among vaccinated people. Why is Maryland important? Maryland is highly vaccinated. So you have to understand that's a mathematical reality as well. And there's a specific reason why Tucker talks about Maryland.
So what does that tell you exactly? Well, it tells you you've been lied to. Vaccines may be highly useful for some people, but across a population, they do not solve COVID.
Now, that's two different things. First of all, you've been lied to. Well, what's the lie that you've been told? Number two, vaccines are useful at every population at reducing risk of death. You might have one population with a higher risk and one population with a lower risk. At all populations, you have a lower risk of death when vaccinated.
That's not speculation. It is an observable fact.
That's not true.
People who've been fully vaccinated can still get the virus.
True.
They can still transmit the virus to others.
True.
And they can still die from COVID.
At dramatically lower rates.
Colin Powell is hardly the only example of that. So the question is, why are they telling us otherwise? And the answer is simple. They're telling us that to divide us from each other.
That is completely untrue. I mean, this is, you have to understand the motive here for Tucker, who's almost certainly fully vaccinated, etc. And by the way, works for Fox News, which has one of the strictest vaccine mandates we've heard about for any large corporation. The whole point here is get people afraid, get people angry, afraid and angry. And at the end of the broadcast, Tucker Carlson casually mentions, oh, okay, I didn't mention that Colin Powell was suffering from a number of health problems, almost like an aside. He talked about Powell being fully vaccinated, didn't mention the health conditions, just kind of drops it in at the very end of the show.
Yeah, apparently. Dr. Jerry, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it. St. Luke's Hospital in Pennsylvania. Pleasure. Appreciate it. So at the beginning of the show, we told you about Colin Powell. We left out that Colin Powell was suffering from a number of different health problems.
Oh.
But of course, that's the point. The point of vaccinating the vulnerable is so people with other underlying health problems won't die of COVID. But unfortunately, that didn't work in the case of General Powell, and it didn't work for many thousands of other Americans. And of course, that's the point we're making in the first place. Yeah.
And what's funny is he's acting like this is an important point that nobody else is making. No one ever said the vaccines are 100% effective. And when you talk about population level statistics and you see the death rate among the unvaccinated versus the death rate among the vaccinated, The one story of Colin Powell, although Tucker is making a lot out of it, although Fox News and others are making a lot out of it, is not actually instructive in any way. It doesn't prove anybody lied. It doesn't prove that vaccines don't work. It doesn't prove any of it. But Tucker's audience is primed to accept this stuff hook, line, and sinker. We'll talk a little more about the data later in the show. You can send me your thoughts. Find me on Twitter at @dpacman. Today is the David Pakman Show live viewer town hall. It'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern time today, Tuesday, October 19th. It will be streaming on our Pakman Live YouTube channel. That's not the main YouTube channel. It's the second YouTube channel, Pakman Live. We'll see you at 6 p.m. And we'll be back in just a minute here. One of our sponsors is Cometeer Coffee, the world's first frozen coffee. I've been very impressed with the coffee I've had from Cometeer. Cometeer sources their beans from some of the world's best locally owned specialty roasters. And the Cometeer team has developed their own way of protecting the freshness and aroma of the coffee by taking its concentrated liquid form and flash freezing it so it keeps those original flavors and nuances. Cometeer comes to you frozen. You just add hot water. Or for iced coffee, you just melt it. You can use it to make a ton of different hot and cold coffee drinks. The way they lock in the flavor like this, you really can taste it. It tastes fresh. I've been getting a ton of enjoyment out of Cometeer. They've got a great variety of coffees. It's delicious. The way you make it is super convenient. And you'll get $20 off when you go to cometeer.com/Pakman. The link is underneath this video.